crossover from George, tried to fake out Gobert. Now he's got him on an island. He'll take and make the three. PG-13 from downtown.
At the rim to put a little more pressure on that Clippers defense.
Second foul called on Oni. Lob it up. And Zubac puts it down. Perfect setup. And Zubac has been a fact. Can't buy one. Zubac offensive rebound. George keeps on firing. And it finally goes down. Yes, sir.
But he went away from Kawhi in the double team and able to get all the way to the rim.
Clippers must get points here. They do. The swing inside from George to Leonard for the bucket.
Yeah, complete breakdown, weak side.
George triggers in. Leonard drives in. Forced to give it up. Kennard from the corner. It doesn't go. Rebound kept alive by Rondo. George, one dribble and a J. Yes, sir. A three.
You're right. Get to your strong hand. Get an easy opportunity early. Try to feel good out of the gates as Kawhi gets his first to go. That hard thrust, that burst into their offense. That's a good look at it right there, Mark.
Got an easy transition bucket, and Paul George on the sheet with his first field goal.
And I mean,
and you see it in the other guys.
Yeah, I mean that as the highest compliment. There's an edge to that group.
Everybody walking around with a puffy chest with the Suns right now as Paul George knocks down the three-pointer. Oni trying to guard George. Kennard can shoot the three and does. At the buzzer, counted. That one a little bit strong, and Paul George back the other way. Deep post up by Cousins and an easy bucket to her.
Boy, Cousins' influence on
57-point playoff game last year against the Denver Nuggets in that shootout against Jamal. Inside, Zubac with a little jump hook. O'Neal right up into Paul George. Great defense. George makes tough shots, though, Doris.
Yeah, that's nicely done.
Steps through over to Leonard for three. And Kawhi knocks that one home. Missed an easy one. Jackson has it going in the third quarter. Got it! And one! Reggie Jackson.
And a big-time shot from Joe Ingles.
Ends a 9-0 run. Paul George lost his balance. Got it!
Wow.
Count it! PG! Paul George out top off the Batum screen. Gobert switches onto him. PG draws it, and one. Count it! Clippers looking to take better care of the basketball. George on the drive, and he gets it to go with the left hand. With a little over a minute to go. George with in and out dribble, puts it up, whistle counted! PG on time! Incredibly competitive, capable of that extra gear. We've seen it tonight. George with a late three. Down to 6. Cross court to Morris, one more to George, and he slams it home. Royce O'Neal on defense. George steps back and drills it. This ball came right back to his arms. And Paul George knocks down the jumper. They clear out the side for Paul George, but Gobert loads up on that side of the floor. Beverly with a nice ball fake. Gets it to go off glass. Back out to George, 9 on the shot clock. Gets into the paint all the way to the cup for the layup.
He's playing with a level of intention, isn't he, Mark?
Yeah. Doc Rivers saying at the time it was one of the toughest cuts that he ever had to make. And then was subsequently claimed by the Jazz and made himself a home in Utah. Paul George looking at home on that three ball. Lead is 5. George whips it to Jackson cross court. And Jackson also is on fire in this game early.
The quickness through which he's processing how guys are guarding him.
Paul George has Favors switch on to him, and George makes them pay.
Well, he's cooking tonight.
Clippers leading by 10. George for three. Got it! Paul George having himself a night so far.
Lots of conversation about Giannis Antetokounmpo and the kinds of shots he was taking. He said, if my basketball instincts tell me to take lots of threes, I'm going to do it.
Oh, that jumper is splashy. Wet.
Went from shooting 25% to 36% in one season.
Yeah, he is a tireless worker. Great stuff, Lisa. Batum off the dime. Paul George scoring and finding his teammates. Went undrafted out of Baylor and played overseas in 3 different countries. Paul George maneuvering his way to the bucket. Back to George, guarded by Bogdanovic. Shot clock down to 5. George, a tough contested 3. Oh! Wet! The NBA app.
Boy, Ben Simmons was brilliant in the 4th period. Nice play by Paul George. Starting to come easy on the offensive end.
Mitchell with 28. George stops behind the 3-point line and knocks down another one. Good friends off the court as well. George with a crossover. Inside, off glass! Over the top of Gobert. Spin by Mitchell, elevates inside, left it short. Quickly up to Leonard. Euro step, got it.
Morris, pretty fake, he sold it, but he just can't make baskets. Knocked to the outside, controlled by George. To the corner, Leonard launches, it's a 3.
They feel confident against this group defensively.
Clippers blew the game wide open in the 4th quarter. George, good-looking delivery from Paul George. Rebound knocked over to Batum.
And the other thing that happens when you can keep bodies on bodies, as you see a nice find over the top there for Kawhi, and Quinn Snyder's going to want to talk about it.
Batum to the rim, missed it. Rebound poked to the outside, and George has got it. Jazz wanted a backcourt violation. Morris lines it up. Oh, he's feeling it.
They've got to get better defense. They have not defended well on this court thus far.
Paul George got him, a 3.
They didn't get that, but the fact that they got a defensive stop and an attack in transition creates a good look, and Paul George continues to knock down.
Greases the rim, the rebound to George. Leonard on the floor for LA. George, big finish, and the foul. 48-22 Clippers. Clarkson lobs it up. Gobert couldn't catch it cleanly. Morris comes out of the pack with it. Leonard. Pump fake. Kick. Shot clock winding down. George takes it hard to the hole. PG-13. Starting 5 remains in there. Morris gives it up. George. Counting for 3.
You heard Rebecca talk about it. Quinn Snyder and his staff recognizing we've got to play earlier in the shot clock.
Paul George going to the rim. George defended by Ingles. A lot of history between these two. George turns the corner, floats it up, slam it down. It's Zubac.
Crowd a little quiet right now.
This was a celebration early. Paul George got a 3.
That was a huge basket there.
24-9 extended run. George weaving through, bank shot goes for PG-13.
I tell you what, Paul George is delivering.
He says he's got to be aggressive all night long.
Yeah, no doubt about that, Rebecca. Royce O'Neal 3 to get Utah into the scoring column. PG-13 with a bomb for 3. Donovan Mitchell is a scoring machine. 18-15 Jazz. Morris for the tie. Yes, sir. Clippers spread here. George, the handles, the fadeaway. Oh, yeah. Bogdanovic comes up short. George crosses, forces his way in for 2.
Next level defender that the Clippers don't have. Should be more opportunities to attack.
Splitting defenders. PG-13 with a tough bucket, and he's got 10. The Clippers are 13 of 20. The Jazz are 12 of 17. Ingles knocked away. Favors couldn't catch it. 8-0 run for the Jazz. They lead at 51-44. George trying to take it at Gobert. Fade away. Oh, that is silky smooth from PG-13. And they've actually turned it over 8 times. Out of the timeout. Paul George, splash. Turnovers piling up for Utah. George sizing up O'Neal. The drive inside for two and a foul. The strength of Paul George and a chance at a three-point play.
Don't try to be a playmaker there. Not a good decision.
Beverly, cookies there on Clarkson. George, tip in, doesn't go. Rebound. George clears out space for two. Nobody shot more or made more this season. George, fade, money.
And that's the importance of leverage, folks.
And the Clippers can take the lead. George looking for an opening. Morris, ready, fire, got it, a three.
Pouring his will, I think, imposing his will, I should say, on this game offensively.
After the Mitchell miss, George sees an opening, finishes with the offhand. PG-13 with a sweet move to the rack. George operating on the outside with O'Neal watching him. Swing it. Morris fires, connects. Marcus Morris is piping hot from downtown. George once again, Bogdanovich. Step back three, splash for Paul George. He is feeling it tonight.
I mean, play at a high level, obviously. Maybe not to that extent, but man, I am anxious to see that one.
It was epic. Beverly lines up an open look. Got a three. Patrick Beverly from deep. 86-82. We approach 2 minutes to go in the third. Beverly. The drive, the teardrop, rims in for Patrick Beverly, who is providing a boost. Clippers up by 4 with possession. Isolation for George. George is fouled, and he's got it!
Wow.
Royce O'Neal put the hand out there. And the harm.
And all the rhetoric and the conversation and the slights of Paul George because of last year, this guy has stepped up in a big way for the Clippers. Free throws just as good as well.
Ingles, trigger man, gets it in. Mitchell, and it knocked away by George, out of bounds.
That was rare the other night. Donovan Mitchell driving or the Jazz taking a two-point shot. 67% of their shots were from three.
Terrence Mann connects on a three. Conley stolen by George. George on the drive, gets inside, muscles his way in. And
he did that well in the third quarter of the last game.
George has Conley on a big height advantage, although Conley, as Mann gets a three. Terrence Mann, 2 for 2 from downtown to start. O'Neal calling for it. Nice entry pass, but misses the layup. And George comes the other way. Paul George drives and gets it off the glass. A 4-point early Clipper lead.
In Game 5, 35 of their first 45 field goal attempts were threes.
Here's Terrence Mann, the hesitation, and throws it up and in. Terrence Mann, 12 points here in the opening period. Batum to George, George to Morris, three-pointer. Got it. But we've got two excellent young coaches in this series as Paul George steps back, knocks down the three. Well, they lived and died by the three in Game 5. That incredible first half, but a brutal second half. George drives on Ingles, steps back, two-pointer. Got it. You know what comes Clarkson, Tyronn Lue saying one of the guys they can't let go off is Jordan Clarkson. He is capable of exploding. Bad pass that time from Conley. Rondo throws it ahead. Batum. Alley-oop to Mann.
Clarkson was traded to the Cavaliers when Ty was coaching there. The relationship evolved. Jordan says it's Ty who taught him all the routines he needed, how things are different in the playoffs. Ty, of course, may be regretting a little bit of that right now, but
we're going to have to start calling him Donovan Mitchell range. He's hit a lot of long ones. Bad pass and stolen by Gobert, who turns it right back over. And Paul George, an easy bucket.
And he said that just cannot keep happening. He also told me they went over some new defensive wrinkles for when Clarkson and Donovan are on the floor together.
No, it's not. It's really actually very easy. Look at the shot clock, and you see the foul occurred at 20 as Reggie Jackson with a beautiful scoop.
Second half we attacked. They helped. T-Man got a lot of corner threes. just like we've been game planning for.
We'll see if you guys can close it out here tonight. Thank you so much, Ty.
Thank you very much.
Back to you, Mike.
Paul George, a three-pointer. That's good. 21 for George. Clippers by 3. George on the drive against O'Neal. Batum for 3. Got it! George guarded by Clarkson. Rises up high. Arcing shot is good. 23 points, 8 rebounds, and 7 assists for Paul George. Yep. Paul George with Mitchell on him. Gobert lurking. Step back, two-pointer. It's good. George the drive. Gets inside on Conley. Conley tried to take it away. Throws it up and in.